Well, of course, one of the obvious memorable moments is homecoming this past year, but also want to touch on being an orientation leader this past summer. I think for me, that was probably one of the best moments for me at UTC, only because I've always wanted to be an orientation leader, and I never had a chance beforehand because I was always interning back home in Memphis. And so this past summer, I was granted the opportunity, had an awesome time, and was able to kind of connect with the students and the younger generation. So for me, that was probably one of the best moments for me, and of course, the awesome staff that I was able to work with. I would say the greatest influence for me is not necessarily a person. I would say that my fraternity actually had the most influence on me because it allowed me to kind of grow as not only a student, but just as a person professionally and academically and personally and all those things. And so through my fraternity, I was able to kind of meet brothers all across the country and travel and do certain things that I probably wouldn't have been able to do if I weren't a part. So, and of course, my parents and just everybody else who has supported me throughout the journey, of course. One piece of advice I would pass on to others is just to be yourself. I mean, in college, you really get an opportunity to grow and to kind of learn new things about yourself. And so I think oftentimes we kind of come to college and we try to fit this image that other people kind of box us into. And I think that the most important part is to just stay true to yourself, and because the only person you can be is yourself. And now I will tie back into homecoming. Obviously winning top man on campus is a huge honor for me. And I think that, it just kind of showcases, my leadership on campus and just a legacy that I always wanted to leave. So for me, that was probably one of the best achievements.
Actually getting accepted into this college because I am I graduated high school in 1986. So I'm a seasoned student.
Vintage.
Yes, vintage. It was scary because I hadn't been in school in years. The last time I went to college was in 1988. So it was kind of scary coming back to school, being around all these, all the younger students that were here. So that was one of the big things that was kind of scary to me. It makes me wish I'd done it when I was younger. But it also gives me that thing, it makes me drive to be successful, more successful, because when I was younger, I thought college was a joke, and I had what I wanted to do in mind, but I didn't take it serious. But now that I'm older and I have to pay out of pocket for some of my classes, it does make a difference. Once I got here, it was kind of like being at home because everybody was so accepting, the teachers, the faculty, the students were welcoming. They kind of looked towards me as a mom figure. If they had problems and stuff, they would kind of come to me and ask me, but they would also help me when I had trouble with my classes.
My most memorable moment at UTC has to be becoming the captain of the elite dance team. It was just the highlight of my college career because it was everything I worked so hard for, and I finally got rewarded for it. I would have to say just being on my own, because I'm the youngest of 6, and I'm very baby, very sheltered. So coming out here by myself, just being on my own, that had to be my #1 fear. Greatest influence on my college experience, it has to be, I'm gonna have to say Professor Weeks, because he introduced me to photography, and that's something I never thought I would like, and I really do like that. And I got an internship doing photography now, and I might can get a job after this, so I don't know. I have to say Professor Weeks.
My most memorable moment here at UTC was actually homecoming my sophomore year. All my friends got together and we went to the game and enjoyed the festivities like the pep rally and stuff beforehand. It was very fun and stuff like that. Yeah. My greatest achievement would probably be gaining the leadership skills through my organizations. I'm involved in the Student Alumni Council, as well as I was involved in the Minority Mentorship Program as a mentor. And I just gained a lot of leadership skills during those roles. I say one of my professors, Professor Spratt, he pretty much, because biology, there's not a lot of minorities, and him being a Caucasian professor, he expects more from his minority students because he knows that it's not a diverse field, and he tries his best to include everyone, and he's very It's fine.
That's fine, no good deal.
I'm a first generation college student, and I didn't have any guidance, and nobody told me how college was going to be, especially at a university. And I had fears of messing up and changing my majors, which I did plenty times, but I overcame those fears, and I'm here. I would have to say just being involved with my different organizations, Secretary of NAACP, being on the leadership board of a Bible study here called InterVarsity, and that's like a Bible study that's all across the United States. So being a part of those two are really big for me because they not only stop here but lead into something greater that's like more than UTC, so it never will stop for me.
My most memorable moment at UTC has to be working at the Aquatics and Recreation Center, creating the ISPN, the Intramural Sports Program and Network, for the short time, and it was what I always wanted to do growing up in high school, and working with my mom, and it was very exciting. Do not sweat the small stuff in life. A lot of problems and situations that come, it's not that big. You can move on and stay positive for the future. Coordinators at the Gear Up here on campus, where they work with inner city school students on a weekly basis. And I was a assistant teacher working with them, and getting to see what I used to go through growing up in inner city schools, public schools, and working with them and relating with them and teaching them about college and hoping to be an influence and a mentor to them. And still to this day, I see a few of my kids. And it's just heartwarming to see them in high school now, because they were in middle school when I was working there.
One piece of advice I would say, definitely get involved in campus, because if you just go to class, that's very boring, and that's why a lot of people say that they switch schools. But when there are different events on campus that the campus holds, I feel that you should go to them. They're free, and a majority of the time they're not just educational, they're fun as well. I would just have to say my biggest influence would be Quay Harris and Brooke Thomas. They both started the organization Unique Perception, and I joined that organization at first, and then after that I became the public relations director. And then after Brooke graduated and Quay she wanted to pass down the role to let the organization build, and she would just be the overseer of it. I became the president for 2 years, so that is something really big, and I just appreciate them. They just started an organization for women. Basically, with that organization, it's all about empowering women through it, embracing, enhancing, and empowering women of all kinds. I've met a lot of great people that are so knowledgeable that I'm just really glad that I met all these cool people that I will keep in touch with in the near future. It's just those connections that you gain with people, not only just students, but faculty as well.
I think just being from Memphis, just coming to a new environment and trying to adjust and not knowing many people up here, it was just completely a blank slate for me. And so just basically having to make a life for myself here in Chattanooga. Do your best. Just do your best, your best. Don't rely on anybody else's standards of what your best is. Just make sure you're doing the best that you possibly can do, and everything else will just fall into place. I would have to say my friends, because they pushed me to do better. Every step of the way, all the stress, all the assignment, everything, they just pushed me through everything, and yeah, they're partially the reason why I get to graduate. So my single greatest achievement, graduating, without a doubt, graduating. I have no clue. I'm excited to you experience the feeling, but I'm just gonna smile the whole time, really. That's probably just what it's gonna be.